have this
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We will bring you the news and reviews of your favorite brews. I'm Dan Baker, joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
I almost said the old one again. I don't know why suddenly.
You've really been towing the line on that recently.
I know.
Reverting back to that legally barred phrase that we're not allowed to use.
Exactly. For anyone who may not know the story, years and years and years ago, we got a cease and desist because of what I used to call Wayne. And hey, the guy had a trademark on the word. Can't say it anymore. Just going to leave it at that. So that's why Wayne is now demented and fermented. And I don't know why, a million years later, I decide to accidentally almost get us sued. Whoops. Who knows? But it's nice to be back behind the microphone. It is nice to be back on a Zoom with y'all, and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening tonight. In fact, I am super excited because I've heard so many good things about the brewery that we are featuring, and it's not like I'm still doing the radio mindset thing where oh, it's a mystery. You don't know who you're looking at your phone. You know that we have joining us from BierHall Brewing.
Hey guys, I'm Chris Rommel. I'm the brewer and one of the co-owners of BierHall Brewing. We're a pretty new brewery here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Chris, thank you for joining us, man. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. It's been too long. I apologize for taking this long to come on here.
No
Steph's
worries,
been banging on the door and trying to get me. She's a great, absolutely great, person to have out there getting people on because she does a good job.
Oh yeah. She's boots on the ground, networking, and she knows how to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. She's super friendly, and she got me on here right away. So I apologize. It's been all me taking the time to get on here. I should have done it sooner.
No. We just appreciate you taking the time at all.
It helps that you make good beer. It makes the work worth it.
We do our best.
I mean, I've heard nothing but good things, and it's one of the many reasons I need to find myself in Lancaster sometime soon because I need to have more good beer in my life. There's good beer. I'm in South Philly. There's great beer here, but I'm used to this good beer. I want to experience the good beer in Lancaster again. So I promise there's going to be a day in the near future that I do visit you.
Oh, you got my number now, so you come on out, let me know.
Awesome. Will do. Will do. A little bit of housekeeping before we jump too far in. Of course, you listening along at home or wherever you are, we're in your ears. You can follow along the socials. We are at BeerBusters on Instagram and Threads. Facebook, we're BeerBusters Podcast. There's BeerBustersPodcast.com. Don't forget to add shop or just click on the little shop tab. Get a peek at all the designs Wayne made for us, and why not grab some swag while you're at it. YouTube, we are BeerBusters Podcast, and of course there's patreon.com/BeerBusters, where you get access to all the behind-the-scenes goodies for as little as $1 a month. But this brings us to the topic at hand. We have to talk about BierHall. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. So BierHall, relatively new on the scene, like you said. You guys only opened up in November, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Like you said, November, we opened our doors probably mid-month. And it's been a really nice ride so far.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's crazy. When you said we're a new brewery, it feels like you guys have been there way longer. I peeked at my notes and I was like, it really was only November. You guys have really made a name for yourself and just become a local watering hole in the short time that you're open. Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many beer drinkers and families and locals just want to gravitate to BierHall?
I mean, I'm really pleased with the response we've had. I think some of the research we did when we picked a location, I think really played a big part in it. We really wanted to have an outdoor area, which is coming together right now. If I look out the window, we got a bunch of kids and families playing cornhole, and we have an ice cream truck outside. So we're really family friendly. I think that helps us with the neighborhood vibe, which we're kind of smack dab in the middle. I wouldn't say in the middle, but we're surrounded on three sides by neighborhoods. And there's a lot of families, and we're we're family friendly. we really cater to the idea that everyone should be included and welcome here. And I think that really helped us like gather a lot of people and bring them together under one roof, which is kind of our goal.
I did want to mention early on before I forget that the listeners can't see this, but behind you there are some styles of beer written, and I just want to express my appreciation for the lager, Helles, Berliner, and Pils listed behind you there.
There's rice lager too. We got that coming.
Very nice, very nice. But speaking of, you opened so recently in November, how long was like the planning phase? Like when from idea to opening, what was that like?
It's been a while. So my brother and I are partners in this together. He's 4 years younger than me, and we've kind of been talking about this since I don't know, we've been talking about opening a brewery since, 2007, 2008 time. And then I ended up going to school. I lived in Germany for almost 2 years to go to school for brewing. I lived outside of Munich. And when I came back, I started working for some breweries in Philadelphia. And I worked for one in Lancaster. And then my wife moved us down south a little bit. But we've always been talking about doing something together. But like I said, my wife moved us to Richmond, Virginia for a couple of years. So the idea of doing something together was a little bit tough because he was still in Lancaster. So my wife moved us back to Lancaster. That'd probably be mid-pandemic, which was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But for her job, and when we came back, it was as soon as her opportunity for employment was here. My brother and I started talking about it like almost immediately, and trying to make the finances side of it work. And once we realized we could make the finance side of it work, we almost immediately started like looking for places to put the project, which took us a pretty long time. I'd say like almost 2 to 3 years to find a location, which is really tough. We were looking for a location that was probably at the beginning, we were looking for a warehouse to retrofit into a brewery. But since it was pandemic, like post pandemic, everyone was turning their business into their brick and mortar business into a website distribution business, and warehouse space was almost impossible to find. And it was at a premium value, which frankly, we couldn't afford. We're just, poor brewers. But when the location we currently have came up, we actually used to live in the neighborhood behind the brewery, and I used to kind of funny story. I used to have a bike gang when I was like 8 years old with the other kids in the neighborhood. We used to all meet up in the parking lot here because like there was no one here during the day in the early evenings. So it was a funny, full circle moment when we realized this was the place for sale and we were going to come look at it. But I'd never gone inside until the realtor showed us the location as a possible spot. So it was pretty funny to see what it was, and it's been a lot of fun to kind of change what it was as a nightclub with no windows into currently what it is now. So
with a lot of windows.
Yeah, that was like a big part of it. We really wanted to kind of the building itself is pretty interesting. It was originally built in like the 1800. No, excuse me. Yeah, I think the 1800s, like 1830s or something like that. I'd have to get the actual numbers out to see what it is, but it's a very, very old building, which presented a bunch of problems when we tried to like retrofit it into a brewery. But we really wanted to keep a lot of the character in that old building, and part of it was like letting natural light in so you could see the character. So that was a big part for us, was to kind of change it from a nightclub with no windows and dark, and then to be open and have a lot of light and be family friendly.
And I love how when you drive by, the brew system is on display as you drive by. There's no question that it's a brewery there on the corner.
Yeah, that was a big part for us when we had the opportunity to kind of decide where to put the brewery system in the building. We only had a couple options based on the age of the building and how to support the weight of the brewery system. So the best option for us really was kind of like to center up the brewery on the corner, like so you could see it coming both directions, and be able to still utilize the customer space. So it worked out really nicely for us to be able to display the brewery system like that, because we got it from Specific Mechanical, and it's absolutely beautiful. They did a great job. Thank you to all my sales reps out there at Specific.
I'm really curious what it was like going to brewing school in Germany. I went to brewing school in the States, which is a really cool experience, but I'm kind of
Where'd you
jealous
go?
of I went to the American Brewers Guild up in Vermont.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Awesome experience, learned from a lot of amazing brewers. But I'm really curious about your time in Munich.
Well, it started out in the U.S. So it's the Siebel program,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, I guess, their Germany like add-on. So it was first a couple weeks in Chicago at Goose Island at their
Nice.
facility that has since closed down on Clybourne. So and Chicago is a great city. It's a great beer drinking city. First off, big shout out to all the guys in Chicago making beer, because they're doing a great job even back then. Goose Island was kind of leading the charge back then, but now it's like there's a lot of nice like new players in the game that have really taken charge. But a couple weeks in Chicago, and then we all flew. There was probably 30 of us that all flew to Munich. So we left Chicago on Friday. Like class ended on Friday at like 5 p.m. And then they were like, all right, like Monday you have to be here at like 9 a.m. for like class. So like we had the weekend to like get from Chicago to Munich.
Wow.
And like we were all like poor and like just like haphazard and like half drunk anyway, so like it was a mess. Trying to get 30 like half in the bag like beer school students, like international, like so but it was a lot of fun. The other people in the class in the school really made it what it was. There was a lot of people from South America. I guess InBev South America sends a lot of their up and coming people to like this program. So it was a lot of fun to see just people who just brew on a just totally different scale. Because like a lot of us were coming in, we're brewing on like pots and pans and like 5, 7, 10 barrel systems. And like these guys are like, oh yeah, we're brewing on like, 15,000 barrel systems. Like the tanks we brew into are, the size of a warehouse. And like eventually, like on the beer school tour, we went to one of the tank manufacturers and saw one of the tanks that was being made for one of these people's breweries. And like you could drive a semi truck through it. It was unbelievable. I have pictures of it. It was, next time you come in, I'll show you. It was outrageous, but it was a lot of fun because the people in the program, and we lived in Munich for 2 years, and we went to school there, and the classes were in English because it was a international school. So everyone's, from different countries. We had a wonderful girl in the class, from India, Vidya. She was amazing. And she's, I still keep up with her. She still brews in India. She runs a pretty large size brewery in India, which is pretty rare for a female. It was pretty awesome to see. Like she wasn't allowed, like when she was over here, she wasn't like allowed to tell her family that she was like in beer, and like until she went back and like had a job secured and like that, because I guess like it wasn't like socially allowable for her. But like she was just awesome, and it was cool to see her go like outside of like that like societal norm and like do what she loved. So there's a lot of passion in the class and like in the people that were there, and so that kind of really made it fun, because everyone wanted to be there and was like really passionate about what we were doing and the education we were getting to like make better beer for the people who we sell beer to. So
where were your favorite spots to get beer while you were living in Germany?
So if you walk out of the Hofbrauhaus, which we went into like once or twice, but like it's a tourist trap, so go once or twice if you're in Munich. But if you walk directly out of the Hofbrauhaus, like you'll see Augustiner, and it's a tiny little pub. And obviously,
that was my favorite.
Yeah, Augustiner was. I mean, they make the best beer, I think, personally. Yeah. Not to play favorites, but that's where we spent the majority of us spent the majority of our time, like at the little Augustiner pub right across the street from the Hofbrauhaus, because it was the best place. But there was another little bar, and each little like town outside of like the center city like had their own like little pubs, and our professors our teachers would take us around to the different pubs to show us, the culture of their towns, because they were from there and they were really proud of it, which was awesome. But in each little pub had their own special dishes and so we got a lot of the local flavor because they were willing to kind of like, pick up the rock and like show us what was underneath, like, what tourists usually don't find, so it was really cool, because like we had a kind of like an inside edge, to like be able to not just do like touristy beer stuff.
That's how you find all the cool stuff,
Oh,
gotta have the locals.
Yeah.
There's somewhere I heard recently, like there's no better tour than a local. And I guess some towns have like a local tourism board that's not like the tourism board. I know that sounds stupid, but it's like a bunch of locals who are like, yeah, come on in, like we'll charge you $20 for a tour and you can just like find all the cool local spots. I would love to do something like that in every city and just have like not somebody who's paid by a certain business to feature that business, just somebody who likes those restaurants or bars.
Yeah, like an insider track guide. That'd be cool.
Exactly.
That'd be a cool business idea.
Yeah.
Bartenders are pretty good at giving advice. If I go to like a local bar or a local brewery when I'm traveling, I'll often ask the person behind the bar for recommendations, and I've very rarely been steered wrong.
Yeah.
That's also great advice. And back when taxis were a thing, like you could ask the taxi driver between like your airport ride. Like Uber's a little less like, I don't know. For some reason or whatever, like there's just a little less conversation between the Uber drivers. But like I feel like taxi drivers, like old school, like back in the day, taxi drivers, like they used to be like a bartender. Like part of the ride was the conversation, and you could kind of ask like back in like you could ask a taxi driver like where to go to, like, hey, where should I eat in this neighborhood? Because they would know all the spots because they would take people there more frequently. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, bartender, great advice on the bartender staff.
I mean, that is kind of like getting advice from local secondhand. You're getting advice from like the repository of all local advice,
Yeah, like
yeah, they know all the cool spots, and how to get there,
I feel like that information has been lost with like the taxi driver,
Yeah, it has. That Hofbrau house in Munich, I'd been to. I was there when I was like 17. Didn't like beer at the time, which sucks because I really want to try, German beer now. But I mean, you're right, going there once or twice. But the thing that really gets me about that trip is we went to Hofbrau house. We had the obligatory beer. I fell in love with Wiener Schnitzel. Then my friends decided that we were going to leave there and go to the McDonald's right across the way in that plaza. So I didn't have a chance to look for anything else, but my friends were under the impression you could go into a McDonald's in Germany and order a McBeer. And we walked in and they didn't have any beer at that McDonald's. I haven't thought about that in 20 years.
I know the McDonald's you're talking about, like right on the corner.
Right, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, God. I think that was one of the first McDonald's I'd seen with a digital menu board, too. Man, they were trendsetters, I guess.
I'm sure the
They're
owner
always
of
ahead
that
on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The owner of that particular McDonald's probably figured it wasn't worthwhile to offer beer at that location.
Right, yeah.
Considering what was right around them,
Exactly. But that's, that's really cool that you got to, study over there. And I guess when you decided that you wanted to go to brewing school, did you decide like I'm going to Germany, or did it just like come up because of the Siebel connection?
To be honest with you, I knew I wanted to go and like further my education, and I was doing a lot of like lab work at the time, like science, like working in a doctor's office, like I have a bio and psych undergrad degree, and I was doing a lot. I did clinical psych work. I worked in a psych ward where people were involuntarily committed. Don't do that, kids. Don't go that route. Yeah. And then I worked in a medical lab, like doing like testing, working in a testing lab. Didn't really enjoy that. Like looking through a microscope for like hours and hours at a time gave me a headache, and I ended up talking to the right people, and they steered me in this direction. And, as soon as I, started helping out a buddy of mine who had also gone down this route, it was, I knew right away this is what I wanted to do. And the opportunity to go to Germany as part of the Siebel program probably was a big draw for me. I have some German heritage, and I've always liked German beer. And I thought no better place to go get educated than kind of like, at the source. get it right from the horse's mouth type thing. So that opportunity really jumped out at me. And when, you go through the process and you go through the application and stuff, and at the time, I don't know if Keith is still the guy who does it, but I talked to Keith Lemke, who's an absolute gem in the beer industry. If you don't know Keith, or if you haven't talked, Keith Lemke is like one of my favorite people in the industry, just like one of the nicest people and one of the most outgoing and giving people. And I had a chance to talk to him on the phone before I, joined the program, and having a 10-minute conversation with him really sealed the deal. His enthusiasm just can't be matched for beer. I'll give you his number at the end. Hopefully you can get him on here. He's just amazing. At the time, he was the president or the head whatever. He was running the Siebel program, the whole school, and man, he still lives in Chicago, and I still keep up with him now and then. But the last time I talked to him, he was writing a book on beer. One of the most interesting guys. Like, he was just out doing research. I see him every time I go to CBC. I bump into him, and he's just got a great wacky story to tell. But he's one of the most fun guys, and I spent a lot of time with him going through the program. And it just, again, his enthusiasm for beer really just drives a lot of people. And man, I'm one of those people. I fall under the Keith Lemke umbrella. Guy's a great guy, and he just, the way he talks about beer gets you excited. And after a 10-minute conversation with him, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. So he's also a great salesman, because it only took 10 minutes to sell me on the school. But yeah, I think it was just a really good opportunity for me. And again, it was just clicked right away. And I'm really thankful I had the opportunity and was able to do that. It was, man, just a really fun thing that I was able to do looking back on it. And for as much as I learned, I had twice as much fun. So, yeah. And again, just to double down, the people I did it with, I still keep up with a lot of people in the class, which is, again, a large, bonus to doing something like that. Obviously, you don't have to go to brewing school to be a great brewer. But having gone to brewing school, you definitely learn a little more formally how the process works, so you can understand it better from the bottom up. But I think one of the biggest, if not, I think probably the biggest bonus to doing something like that is the colleagues and the networking you make almost immediately. Some of the guys I went to school work for Firestone Walker currently, and are probably, I haven't talked to him in a while, but he's probably last time I saw him at CBC, he was working his way up, and he's some of a lot of the guys I know run local and regional craft breweries, and have worked for big and small guys, and it's just the networking and the camaraderie, which is part of what the industry is about, immediately anyways, is just second to none. So if you're thinking about doing the school out there, give it a shot.
Definitely.
I'm for it.
And also,
sure,
just the diversity of people you got to interact with there too. All the people that you mentioned from, South Africa to India and all over the world. So not only networking with people, in the industry that you'll probably work with on a more local level, but just getting those kind of perspectives from around the world was also, I'm sure, very enriching.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And like you said, the diversity of the cultures, and the people, and the interaction of all the people, and seeing how different people, react, to the different beers, and the different styles of beer, and the different processes that everyone was using to make beer was a lot of fun to see. And again, like you said, the diversity is really special, because you get to see other people's perspectives that you wouldn't if you weren't in that group.
No, I think also appreciating the hurdles that others face, whether it's because of being a woman from India or just from living elsewhere. I think it also puts things in perspective, and makes you appreciate what you have a little more, but you can also learn. I think one of the greatest learning thing for me was brewing with other people on their systems, not just to see the system they brewed on, but even just to shadow their day and see how they do it, and learn from them or suggest something. And you learn by doing, and making those connections give you those opportunities to do it. Even if you're learning how to squeegee the floor.
Which is a skill.
There was a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah, ask Dan. He knows.
It's one of the only things I'm good at in a brew house, if not the only thing.
Oh, hey, Dan, I recognize that can.
Yes, it is No Direction Home French-style Pilsner from Good Word Brewing and Public House. We had a party here a couple weeks ago, and Wayne was kind enough to leave some beer behind.
Hey, man, that's a good friend.
I would say so. But yeah, this
I
beer is
really
delicious.
enjoyed that beer.
Yeah, in fact, it's actually reminding me, we didn't go around the horn to say what we're drinking. So yeah, I have this French-style Pilsner that Wayne gave me. Wayne, what do you have?
I had a Delco lager earlier, but I have a Hiliato from Attic, which is their cream ale.
That is great beer.
It is good. I picked up from actually the beer distributor. It's like a few blocks down the street from me.
Nice.
That I don't go to often enough.
Steph, what do you got?
I'm apparently double fisting. I'm finishing my last can of Pours Light, so I need to make a trip to Poor Man's, and I'm drinking the Mexican dark lager that Slimy Sauce gave us from Cape May Brewing.
Aha.
Quite delicious.
All right, guys, this is going to be pretty disappointing, but I am on antibiotics and I am drinking water.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You got to stay hydrated. But it is in the moss. Was that a Opera House one?
Yeah, the guys, the bartenders downstairs, they take good care of me. I got 2 lemon wedges and and a moss. So
very cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm drinking out of I'm actually also double fisting. I have 2 different cups. I had a random 2 weeks ago on my birthday. I got a random staph infection in my elbow. I can show you guys, but no one you can't really see, but the stitches just came out. But it happened in 3 hours. I went from not being able to move my arm. So I guess I got some pretty quick surgery, and they just drained me out and cleaned me up, and I'll be back in a week or 2. So I'm on pretty brutal antibiotics for another week, I guess. So I can't drink or be in the sun. When I go out, I have this huge hat.
Oh man.
Here's to a speedy recovery.
Oh yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I saw a dermatologist out, and she's like, "Oh, I love your hat. I'm a dermatologist." And I was like, "That's how you know you're doing it right." I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Just randomly stop you on the street because you had.
Yeah. She stopped me on the street. She's like, "Oh, I love your hat. I approve. I'm a dermatologist." And I was like, "You know what? Thank you." I was like, I appreciate that. I was like, because everyone else out here is laughing at me.
Well, that 1 out of 1
I want to
dermatologist.
see the hat.
Yeah. No, it's not here. It's in the car. I keep it outside in the car because I have to wear it when I'm driving around.
Oh my god.
Okay, your social media people need to use that hat for an upcoming post
to
promote the outdoor area.
I'm the social media person, so
there you go.
We're keeping it under the hat.
Well, you're doing a pretty brewer and in charge of the social media. That's pretty impressive. You're doing a good job.
Yes, I mean it's just me and my brother. So I guess we do all the we do everything besides run the kitchen, which my brother was in the kitchen last week. He let the I can say this out loud because he knows already. But he let the chef and the second in command go on vacation in the same week. And I was like, why would you do that?
Whoops.
Why would you do that? He's like, oh, well, they both wanted to go. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, you're in the kitchen. So he was
I appreciate being accommodating.
Yeah. So exactly. I'm sure they love him. But I was like, they're beautiful. They're great. They make wonderful food here. But I think they have to take separate vacations from now on.
I think that's reasonable.
Probably a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, as long as there were no complaints from.
No, he's actually, my brother's a great. If there's anyone in our family that cooks, it's my brother. He's phenomenal in the kitchen. So it wasn't really an option who it was because I'm all right in the kitchen, but he's definitely far and away better in the kitchen than me. So that's kind of as he listens to this, here's your pump up your tires moment, Jimmy, after I shot you in the foot back there. But he's way better in the kitchen than me. So it was not a choice who was going to cook.
As somebody who I'm in the same boat. My brother is a great home cook. I used to live with him. You Yeah, it's Wayne. Wayne and I lived together in South Philly for a bunch of years. And Wayne always made the kitchen smell great. And I have learned that it was a heavy hand with garlic that did a lot of that, but everything just smelled great. And like, you still cook with Jess a lot, and you know, you're no slouch in the kitchen. I could learn a thing or two from you.
I was going to say the garlic thing. Like that's a surefire. I mean, just throw garlic in a pan and everybody will be like, "Oh my god, that smells so good! What are you making?" Like, it's just garlic.
Basically.
Wait till I add butter.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned the food, Chris, because I was looking at the menu earlier, and I mean, the food sounds amazing. There's the schnitzel sandwich that I need to try when I get there, but you even have like the plant-based burger. So I guess one of the things, Dwayne's wife is vegan, so I am now like always on the hunt for like good vegan options for if we go anywhere with them. You know, what do they have? So the fact that you have a plant-based burger, that's great. That's awesome.
So actually, a lot of the stuff, like surprisingly, I don't know if we've marked it yet. That's on our list of things to do. Again, it's only me and Jimmy doing this stuff. So one of our things is to mark the menu, like what stuff is vegan. A lot of the stuff on there is surprisingly vegan, but like the giant pretzel, vegan. So like there's a couple other things on there that are like if we can make vegan and that kind of stuff. But one of the things, again, like our philosophy here at BierHall is, you know, inclusiveness, like, and bringing people together. So when we looked at the menu and we looked at the beer list and we decided like kind of what direction we wanted to go, we decided, hey, when a group of 10 people comes in here, I want 9 of them to find something on the menu that they want to eat and on the tap list that they want to drink. And the 10th person, you know, you're not going to please that, either you're not going to please that person, or you know, they don't drink, and we have NA options and that kind of stuff. But the idea is to, you know, if we can please 9 out of 10 people, we'll be all right. And people, you know, will be able to bring larger groups here without, you know, worrying about someone not enjoying it or not having an option for someone in their group who has a restrictive diet for whatever reason. So it's one of the things that we really tried to focus on. So I appreciate you noticing the plant-based burger. It's actually really good.
I bet. I've had great, you know, vegan and vegetarian burgers, and I don't doubt it. And the menu is very impressive. And I have to say, I want to try all the wings.
The wings are good. My brother eats the wings all the time.
But I also love that they're only $8. I spent $20 for half a dozen wings the other night, and they were great. But like, this is a good price, and I'm sure they're delicious. Food
cost is expensive, and part of what makes us, again, like trying to, you know, help ourselves stand apart is we offer like high quality food at a pretty reasonable price, because we make a pretty decent margin on the beer, which we offer at a reasonable price too. But that allows us to kind of like shorten the margins on the food and offer it at a more reasonable price, because food costs are getting pretty expensive. I mean, like eating out's expensive.
Yeah.
So if we can make it a little more appealing by, like, you know, softening the blow on your wallet, maybe you come out here once more, you know, every couple of weeks. So that's part of our philosophy, to try and, like, you know, stand in the way of these like rising food costs. So
yeah,
I mean, I like that you're conscious of that.
Though.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that you're conscious of that, because you're right, it is getting more expensive. It's more expensive to go everywhere. So the fact that you have that in mind says a lot. And you know, we're in a pretty rough capitalistic society, so it's just refreshing to hear somebody. It's like, yeah, it's expensive out there. Our food's cheap. You can eat it, and it's cheap and good, and that's even better. It's to me, just more people should do that, and I love that you guys do. That's really cool, I gotta say.
It's tough, but I mean, like, again, like our goal here is not to, like, you know, we're not trying to like make a quick buck and dash. Like, we want to really like foster the relationship between ourselves and these neighborhoods and the community around us. So like that's kind of like our long-term philosophy, you know, to just like be more, you know, like shorter on the margins a little bit and like last longer, you know?
Yeah. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Exactly. Like, we plan to be here in 20, 30 years. So we're hoping that this philosophy, you know, gets us a you know, a base of business and people who enjoy coming out here, and, you know, it's a place that they enjoy. And, you know, again, like eating out is expensive. We understand that. Like, I eat out and it's expensive. My wife yells at me. So, yeah, dude, when she's not home, it's like pizza night. Pizza dad, brother. And I get yelled at. But it's just, again, like it's one way for us to try and, you know, like soften the blow. So
yeah.
And we really focus on quality ingredients. So
Even better. Even better.
As we've been talking about the food, I've been looking through the menu, but I hadn't really been looking at the prices until you started talking about this, and I'm like, oh, this is very affordable.
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah,
are actually
absolutely.
these are very good prices. Yeah, yeah, and I also appreciate the copious amounts of sauces that you offer on the side. I love a variety of sauces.
yeah, well, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Brauhaus Schmitz down on
Yeah.
South Street.
One of
Mhm.
my
So
favorites.
the guy who I guess like one of the gentlemen who was part of the kitchen staff or the kitchen team when they opened up, and he worked there for 12 years. He has moved away from Philadelphia, like to Reading, and he was a friend of a friend, and we actually brought him in to help us with the menu. So a lot of these recipes are probably pretty similar to something you might have had at Brauhaus Schmitz, and they're like, I guess, not exactly the same, but I guess the gentleman, his name's Jeremy Nolan.
I was
and
just
he's a
going to ask
really,
if it was him.
yeah, he's a really, really nice guy, and he's writing, big plug for Jeremy here. He's writing a sweet cookbook called New German Cooking, and it's good. And I mean, I have it at my house, and like we use it at home. But he's a really great guy, and he helped us out with the menu and like kind of like our kitchen's kind of small, so he helped us kind of like designing the kitchen and the menu together to be able to send the food out in a reasonable amount of time, not like pound, like not like put 100 things on the menu with a tiny kitchen. So the whole kitchen build out was with him.
That explains why your potato salad is so good, because he cooked at the Reading Liederkranz before because he's from Reading.
That's where he is now. He opens a bunch of restaurants in Reading currently.
Your German potato salad tastes exactly like the Reading Liederkranz, and it's my favorite German potato salad in the world. So that explains it now. But
he's the man behind the madness. He's a great guy.
There's also, quick plug on our YouTube channel, there's a video from like 2016 with him at Brauhaus Schmitz talking about his cookbook. You should go watch it. It's a pretty good video.
Yep. I was actually just talking about him the other night. So Brauhaus Schmitz famously is my favorite restaurant.
It's great.
I go for my birthday every year. I didn't go this year because on my birthday we were in the Poconos, and I had a home cooked steak, and it was amazing. But I had to be honest with myself that the restaurant now, Brauhaus Schmitz, is still good, but it's not as good as when Jeremy was the chef.
It's different.
And I had to mention,
I haven't been there in a while.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't been there in about a year, but I was telling, I think it was Bridget, my girlfriend, the food was better when he was there. It went downhill after he left by a lot and then came back up. But it's still nowhere near. His Wiener Schnitzel, I think, is outside of Germany the best Wiener Schnitzel I've ever had.
Oh, yeah. The guy can cook. He's amazing, and he's a nice guy to boot. So it's tough to beat.
Exactly.
So.
I that makes me so happy to hear that he helped with all of that. Like, oh my God! For anybody listening who's like on the fence about it, eat this man's food. Good fucking God, eat this guy's food. It's so
eat this man's
good.
food.
Oh
yeah,
I dream of his Wiener Schnitzel night.
It was awesome working with him. He's a great guy. So I got hooked up with him. So my wife. My wife's coworker is a friend of his, and she's like, "Hey, you got to talk to this guy. He does German cooking. He sets up German restaurants." And oh yeah, he used to cook at Brauhaus Schmitz. I was like, "Oh no way!" Like, because my wife and I, in her dragging me around the East Coast, like we lived downtown in Philly for a couple years while she went to school, and we used to go to Brauhaus Schmitz all the time. So I was like, "Oh, sold right away," because we used to eat there back we used to eat there. Man, this was like in the like 20. Oh man, it's got to be like 2012, 2010, like back when it was just getting like up and going. And man, like it was phenomenal. I remember, and it was always one of my favorite places to like go back and eat for like authentic German style food.
Yeah.
And it like having lived in Germany and come back, like it was like, man, this holds up. So when we had the opportunity to work with Jeremy and we had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him, and he was willing to work with us, it was a really like natural partnership.
God.
So
that makes me so happy to hear. Oh.
It's
easy to work with good people.
That's true.
I was going to say, if you needed to vouch for the fact that the German fare and other fare at BierHall is good, that we know where it came from. So We can vouch for that.
We also have American fare too outside the German stuff. So we like I'd say it's like probably like 60-40 German, like American, like pub grub, pub fare, like so we outside of the German stuff, we still have burgers and fries and like you said, the wings, which are good. We got a bunch of different sauces for the wings. And it's going really well. The people seem to really enjoy the food. And like Steph said, we get a lot of positive comments on the potato salad.
What's your go-to meal on a brew day?
So there's a salad on the menu called the brewer salad.
Oh, I was eyeing that up.
And it's because I was like ordering this, but it's off menu, and they got sick of having me like write like 7 different things on the ticket. So they finally made a button for it on the POS system, so I could just like tap one button and send it back. Yeah, so it's the brewer salad probably. I eat the burger here a fairly good amount. The potato pancakes are my dark horse item. They're really good. And the schnitzel is also something I'm just like very fond of. I love a good schnitzel, and ours is ours is really, really worthwhile.
I can understand why.
But yeah, brewer salad, and like you can get the chicken tossed with any of the sauces, but I do the hot sauce. So
I do appreciate.
And I'd say like
sauce.
4 out of 5 times I order it, the guy sitting next to me at the bar also orders hot wings because it just smells so good.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what's that smell? I'm like, oh, hot sauce. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get that. I'm like, there you go.
That's awesome. So I want to jump back to something you said before we started talking about all the delicious food. So you mentioned like we were talking about the the margins and everything, and you said that you want to be there in 20 to 30 years. Which, hey man, I very much hope that you are. But how do you what's your plan to continue with the longevity? Like, are you looking a couple of years out and trying to think of what trends in the industry are going to be, or is it pretty much just like whatever comes, adapt as quick as you can, or both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think you gotta, in today's market, it moves so fast that you have to be a little bit quick and nimble to adapt, which a guy my size is, we don't have a committee to decide what our beers are going to be that goes, if we want to brew something different, like we order it and we brew it. So like it allows us to be pretty agile in that way. But I think you also have to be aware of what's kind of coming down the pipeline. Like obviously right now, like the beers I love to brew, our lagers are, they're in demand. IPAs are always, hot, but they're kind of cooling off a little bit. So, and then there's everything in between. And obviously like, I mean, we're getting our ass kicked by like RTD cocktails. I mean, and like in Pennsylvania, like I think they just passed that like last week where they can now sell them in the you can sell them everywhere. Before you could only sell them in the liquor store, and now you can sell them like in gas stations and beer distributors, and so like you're gonna see high noons and statesides and that stuff everywhere.
I had no idea that passed. Oh wow, that's big for Pennsylvania.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's like it's. I mean, I don't sell beer in the stores in cans. Like we don't. We're just starting to like very lightly distribute, like self distribute like draft beer. But man, that's tough because RTD sales are like, every year we get the. I don't know if you guys go to the BA meetings or see the yearly reports from the BA, but like RTD cocktails are growing incredibly fast. Like it's year to year, month to month, like growth rate is incredible. It's the fastest growing alcohol like segment on the market by a large rate for the last couple of years, and it's a scary thing for guys who sell beer in cans, and now we're gonna have to fight for shelf space, because the store that sells the beer isn't getting any bigger, and now they have a whole new line of products that have to like go in there too. So either someone's like selling less beer through there, and like the reality is they're gonna like take some guy who used to have a 5 set, and he's going to be down to a 1 set. And a lot of people who used to have a 1 set are not going to have a set anymore. So it's tough. I mean, and it's tough to see because a lot, like, again, like I know a lot of these guys who are selling a lot of beer, and like, man, it's like, it's a lump in their throat right now because like, that's not a good thing for beer guys, but that's the market we live in. Like, so we have to, like, if you didn't see that coming down the pipeline, you're probably in a little bit of hot water right now. But if, you saw this coming, you probably had, like, slightly shifted what you're doing to, not combat this, but to, not get taken, I guess, like not get bumped so hard. So like any business, things change,
Of course.
so you have to be able to adapt to those things, and we hope we can do that. But being small and having a small footprint allows us to do that, and kind of our goal for the next foreseeable future, which is, hopefully, 20 plus years, is, just continue to make quality beer, and to, just gauge our customers, and as our demographic shifts, as beer drinkers change, and what they like changes, to just be informed of that, and informed of what makes us these, if it's a new style or an old style, what makes it good, and how to effectively create that, and replicate that in a format that people enjoy, which is really what beer is all about.
Yeah, definitely.
I think something that's important for the local brewery too is to get the public to come into the brewery and drink the beer there. We got into, COVID forced us to stay home, and we got used to our alcohol being delivered to our door and drinking at home more. And I'm actually at the point where I very seldomly drink at home anymore. Like when we're recording a podcast, I'll drink a few beers, but if I'm drinking beer, it's usually out. And I think as a consumer, it's important to be mindful about where we're going out and making sure that we're supporting the pubs and the breweries that we want to remain open. I mean, left and right. I mean, it seemed like almost every day these last few weeks, somebody announced that they were closing, whether it's another brewery or restaurant. And, people are so quick to comment, oh my gosh, I can't believe they closed. And well, if you knew the climate of what's going on in the industry right now, it's really not surprising that we keep, I mean, some of them are disappointing, but I don't think any of them were surprising to those of us that have been paying attention. So, and I think BierHall does a really good job of that, but I think breweries need to encourage people, like, if you want a beer, come here and have it, whether you're sitting at the barn watching the game and having wings, or your family's coming to do trivia, or you're coming for dinner, or you're coming for ice cream. I think that's important, is to encourage people to drink there. Because I don't think, when people that are buying canned beer anymore, it's like just big cases of the cheap stuff. I think craft beer has been sitting on shelves more than ever right now.
Yeah, it's tough. And like I said, like I know a lot of guys at a lot of other places, and like can sales are like in to-go places. It's tough. They're having a tough time. And like you said, Steph, it's really important to support the places that you want to see survive. Like you're voting with your dollars, like where you want to see, the places survive and what you want to continue to exist. Times are tough. I know a lot of friends in the restaurant industry, and they said, Dan, you're in Philadelphia. And like, I got a lot of friends in the restaurant industry in Philadelphia, and times are tough there, man. Like margins are lean, and some people aren't making it. And like Steph said, like people are closing. People, like the slice of the pie for restaurants and bars isn't growing. It's like stagnating, if not shrinking a little bit. So people are fighting for, the same buck. And again, like it's not always there, and it's tough.
Yeah. The place that I spent the $20, it was like 18 or $20 for the half a dozen wings, was a restaurant that's closing tomorrow, Sunday. What's today? Today's the 19th. Hey, dated the podcast. Whoops. So the restaurant closes this weekend, and I never had the wings, so I figured now or never. They were delicious. They were, Korean fried wings, which is amazing. But yeah, one of my favorite places is closing. Bing Bing Dim Sum on.
Oh yes, that place is great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We ordered everything that we wanted to order, and then I got 2 orders of Dan Dan noodles to go to put in the freezer for whenever I want it later.
They had a sister restaurant in my neighborhood when I was in Philly. It was what's it called?
Chew. Was it Chew?
Noodle.
Chew. Yeah.
Chew. Yep. Yeah. It was right down by Jefferson.
Yeah.
Man, I used to go there twice a week. That place was amazing. I don't know if it's still there.
It just closed. They on the same day they announced that both their restaurants are going to close. Chew closed last month. Bing Bing is closing this weekend. But with Bing Bing, it's because the owner of the building or whatever wanted to do some kind of renovations that the restaurant would have to close long term. So they figured, okay,
gotcha.
Bing Bing is done, but they're still on good terms with the owner, and assuming everybody is open to the idea after the renovations are done, they're going to open another restaurant in this building. So there will be something there, but it's not Bing Bing.
Gotcha. Tell me those wings weren't really good. I used to
They
get those
were
wings
so fucking good.
They were good. They were they're slamming with the little chives on top.
Oh yeah,
they're really good.
I ate 3 of them there. I have 3 in the fridge downstairs, and I'm probably going to have them when we're done recording.
Yeah,
they're so good.
Don't forget about them in there, man. You're not going to get them again.
Oh, believe me,
good.
I've got those. I have a cheesesteak bao, and I have half an order of the caterpillar bread in there, plus my extra Dan Dan noodles. Oh, and some wontons. We have some wontons in there too.
I used to get the miso ramen at Chew Noodle like once or twice a week, man. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it's more in the column of if you want a place to stick around, you got to go there.
Oh yeah, and that's what I mean. Like it's like, and Steph said, places are closing, and you ask people, I can't believe that place closed, and then you ask them like, hey man, when's the last time you've been there? And they're like, oh.
5 years ago.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like years ago. And you're like, yeah, well, I mean, that's probably why I closed. Like people don't go there anymore. And guilty. I mean, like, man, I've been surprised some places closed, and I just get caught up, and man, it's a tough environment to be a restaurant. But again, like it's something that isn't dead. It takes a lot of work, and it's, there's a lot of scrapping. So it's just like, again, like my brother and I do most of the like behind the scenes work here. So that keeps us pretty lean and able to pay, solid wages to our employees and, keep them at a livable wage, and that can keep the business going. But if you're not on top of it, I can see how a lot of places don't make it. And, some months are a little rough for us, but, at the end of the day, the expectation here is a quality product in our beer and a quality food product in a welcoming, inclusive environment. And everyone I talk to is, happy with the place, and we get a ton of repeat customers, and, month over month, we're doing great. So it's been a positive and a fun ride. So
yeah, I feel like the industry will always be volatile. Like you can't control the trends, you can't control the economic conditions, but you can control the consistency and quality of your own product.
Yeah,
and
some months are up, some months are down.
Yeah.
And like some months everyone goes to the beach, and sometimes you're the guy at the beach catching all the business, and sometimes you're the guy at home catching no business.
Yeah.
And sometimes no one goes to the beach because there's a storm, and the guy at the beach side, so it's like there's, like you said, the ebb and the flow. Like there's like, and so as long as you can ride the wave a little bit, so.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're working on that. We're new, so we're trying to find the wave and then ride it.
Yeah. Some people say the way to go is to move fast and break things. I've never thought that was a good idea.
No, I don't think that's our philosophy.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you brew lagers. You can't be fast.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point.
I mean, we brew a lot of stuff. We kick around some some 10, 14 day beer too. So.
Oh, but that Doppelbock.
Oh, it's good. That's good. We've had a lot of people drinking that tonight. I've talked a lot of people into the Doppelbock. The beer that I'm drinking actually lately, prior to my medication, was our alt beer, and I've talked a lot of people into trying it, and everyone I talk into trying the alt beer ends up getting a pint. So
That's so good.
That's the beer I'm proud of right now.
Any beers that you haven't done yet that you want to?
Um, yeah, I really want to do a Czech lager. I got a really nice uh like recipe for a Czech lager where I use a like Wireman makes this like floor malted Bohemian Pilsner malt, and it's like got this like really distinct like bready like bread crust like toasty like it's a phenomenal note to put in a beer, but it's like really delicate, and it takes like a really like a really fragile balance of like kind of like yeast note and like hop aggressiveness. So I'm trying to like dial everything in like before I get like to something like that. I guess I don't know what the word for it is, like fragile or like but it's
Delicate.
just it yeah, delicate. That's a perfect word. Thank you, Steph. Um but it's just uh we're getting there. I mean, I think we're dialing everything in, and that beer is like really special to me, and that malt's really expensive. So I'm trying to make sure we like we nail it when we buy it, and go for it. But my guess is probably I'm probably gonna brew it in the winter and like bring it out in the spring. So we'll see. It's on my list. I got a list of beers that I'm gonna make here. I got a little like little chart here. Bohemian Pills is at the top for sure, and a Goza.
Mm.
Hmm.
Please, I
So
assume like two style German Goza, none of this American Goza bullshit.
yeah, no. I mean, like, but so yeah, which is like kind of just like in my mind, like a little like a cousin of the Berliner. So it's a very similar process and beer, just a slightly like separate recipe. But and like obviously like the salinity, the addition of salt is like key there. So like just like making sure you balance the salt addition to the rest of the beer is like really important. So um and then I do have a saison on there. I do want to brew like a really farmy farmhouse saison, but I'm not sure um, right now if my customer base would drink it fast enough. So I'm waiting to see like if I can do it maybe like a little more in the fall. So it
It
might
is
be a
the
little hot.
perfect Thanksgiving beer. It
I
pairs well
know.
with everything.
I know. I want to bring it out in the fall. So we'll see how it goes. But those are probably the three beers right now that I'm itching to put in the tank, uh, and trying to like slide in somewhere that like I have a spot that's like outside of our like our core right now is our German Pilsner and our Hefeweizen. Um, and we'll probably add the German style Helles to that to just keep that on all the time. But just trying to keep those on and trying to like dot in our seasonal beers and trying to slide in these other beers here and there. But we'll have a Berliner Weiss next week. Um,
Hmm.
Any
so
syrups?
we are going to make our own syrups. So
Ooh.
we do have the traditional Woodruff and raspberry syrups, um, which you know we're wow. I mean, they're available. We'll give them to you. I mean, like we're at no charge. We're like we have a bottle of each of those, um, which is a German made product, and we both got it down at like the it was like a import store here in Lancaster. Uh, Uh, but what I've done in the past, and I've had a good amount of success with it, is to make our own like kind of like fruit syrups. So we like puree fruit and make our own kind of like your fruit puree syrup, so to speak. And I've done before like a little bit of almost like cooked it with a tiny little bit of hops to balance that sweetness out a little bit.
Mm.
So I've done like a Citra blueberry or like a mosaic like peach or something like you know what I mean, like something like that. Um, but and then you can kind of like just do like a squirt or a pump in the bottom of your glass, and if you like it, you can do two or three squirts. If you don't like it, you don't have to do any. But it's kind of like an option we've done before, to just jazz it up and give people a couple more options if they don't like the full, you know, acidity of that beer. I mean, a lot of people love to cut that beer with some fruit, and I understand that. I'm a big fan of like drinking it straight, which is why we don't dose the whole batch with fruit and we do it this way because I like I like to drink it without fruit. So, um, but it also just makes it a little more dynamic. We can offer something like, we can have 2 or 3 different syrups at a time if we want, so if you want peach or blueberry or raspberry, like, hey, you can dose up your Berliner Weiss anyway.
If I can suggest, a lavender syrup
Yeah.
is lovely in a Berliner.
Ooh.
I'm writing it down.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we did during COVID, we made many trips up to Bond Place when they would have intercooler on, and we would get many crowlers of it, and he would send you home with a little plastic to go sauce size, like a ramekin size plastic thing with the syrup.
Oh, no
and
way.
the
That's pretty
lavender,
cool.
when he would make the lavender, that was always our favorite. It was so good.
No way. That sounds really cool. That's a
And
smart
then
idea. They give you like the
what
little
they
to-go,
started
like,
doing,
little...
they have a hard Italian soda. I guess it's their bougie answer to a seltzer, but they'll use the same syrups in the seltzer too. So
that makes sense.
double bang there.
Hey man,
But
that's
the
smart.
lavender,
I like that.
So good.
I had a non-alcoholic cucumber mint Italian soda a couple of weeks ago, and God, was it good. I think this is like my newfound rediscovery of Italian sodas, and they're just so good, and I never thought of adding alcohol. That sounds great.
It's easy.
Yeah,
Well,
you'd be
it's
surprised
good.
to learn you can add alcohol to any liquid.
What?
It might not be good, but
It's
You
a
can
good
do it.
gluten-free option too, or for
That's
someone
true.
who just doesn't like beer.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. Oh, God, I want to try all that now. Man.
It is a nice warm night for it too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great for that.
So I don't think we talked about... I know we talked about, like, the brewery and, of course, the beer and the food, but not, like, the inside of it. So what's it like when somebody walks in and orders a beer, and, like, where do they sit? Do you have, like, the traditional German style, like, beer hall benches and tables and stuff?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So when you walk in, it's kind of split up into like 2 sections, like I'd say. So we have like kind of like an inner square, and there's almost like what actually was the old wraparound porch. So then there's the old wraparound porch. So inside the inner square, which was the original building, there's beer hall style tables and like TVs that like face all directions, like toward the beer hall style TVs, and that's kind of what I call like the party zone. Come in, like sit with people you don't know, make new friends, watch TV, catch your favorite game, like sit at the bar, like socialize with your neighbors. And then on the wraparound porch area, there's traditional tables and chairs, and there's like, I guess, like probably like fewer sight lines to the TV. So the idea out there is to kind of have like more of a sit down, like more personable time. Like you can sit with people you came with, you can sit with your kids. If you don't want your kids like watching TV, and if you don't want the people you're coming with, you want to like interact more with the people you came with, you can sit at the tables and chairs, and it's like less of a TV like experience. It's more of like a sit down dining experience where you can kind of like sit down and like have beers and like have a conversation or a meeting and like converse with the people you came with. But I wouldn't say it's a large place, but I think we can seat like 150 people inside. So we'd have, probably like 50 to 60, like, and Steph, you can like correct me if my math is just like way wrong on this. I'd probably have like 50, 60, like beer hall style seats. And then, probably like another like 75 outside seats. And then outside, we actually have a beer garden. When we picked this place, like one of the big things for us was like to be able to have an outdoor space to put a beer garden in. So we have, again, like the outdoor space is, the traditional, like the gravel, German gravel. It's fenced in for your kids so they can bang around. And then we have the beer hall style tables outside. So we have like 8 or 10 of those tables outside. We just put shade sails up for shade. And then we have a dog area outside, so you can bring your dog, and we have dog biscuits, and we can, accommodate you and your furry friend.
very cool.
I love that.
So
And I love that you can either talk to a person to order, or you don't have to talk to anyone, because you guys have
Yeah,
the QR codes on the table and beer magically appears.
yeah, I like, again, we were talking earlier about like how Europe always has the technology before us. And when I was at school in Munich, like this was one of the ways you order. You could order from the table, and like beers just came out to you. So it was just like, man, and to me in my mind is like, hey, how many times are you at a pub and like you have one waitress, like, because again, like bars are cost conscious. Like you have one waitress for like a large set of tables, and she wants more tables, so she makes larger tips. And like so she comes out and you're like trying to catch her attention, and then like she takes the two tables next to you and like heads back, and then like the other waiter comes and you're trying to get his attention, and like you can't get a beer for a while, and you're like, man, this is like, let's just get out of here, we'll go someplace else. For us, that was like, hey man, like we don't want people to leave, we want people to stay, and we want people to like be able to order beers without having to like worry about if when the next one's coming or like blah blah blah. So I thought the system was like really smart because you can just order your own beer and then people just ran it out to you. So we kind of implemented that system here because like before COVID, we didn't know what we were going to do, because I had this idea in my mind to like put iPads in the table so people could order, and then COVID came and they solved the whole problem for us. And I was like, oh man, they did it. I was like, that's sweet. So, yeah, because I had this whole idea, like I said, like I was gonna like cut out the table and like put an iPad in the middle. Like remember like I don't even know if you guys remember like old Pizza Hut, and they had like
oh my god,
thing,
yeah,
and, like, it like under, it was like kind of like a false glass piece, and like you could like like kind of like that, and you could like, I was like, man, we bring back the whole Pizza Hut thing, the red cups, the whole deal. Wow. Put kale on the salad bar.
I saw on the internet Pizza Hut's bringing their buffet back.
I was just gonna say it. I was just gonna say it.
I was just gonna say
the dessert pizza.
Oh yeah, yes.
I don't remember dessert pizza from them. What?
Oh, dessert pizza.
Hopefully they bring back Book It. I always used to go to Pizza as a Book
that
It.
was cool.
Yeah.
That was
I don't know. I mean, maybe it still exists. I maybe they never stopped it. I'm not 4 anymore. I don't know.
It actually does, but it's not nearly as exciting. You don't get like the button and the stickers. It's just a paper that your parents have to sign and you take it. But one thing that's really cool, where I live, we have a local pizza place that does something similar. So I love that. Families can go support a locally owned pizza place, because all of our Pizza Huts are closing, to be honest, around here. Yeah. So
that's really cool that the local like company like kind of like picked up the baton, and like, because like that was exciting as a kid. Like you said, like the button was sweet, and like, there you go.
The little
core
stickers, and wasn't it like holographic or something? The button, there was something really cool about the buttons on it.
If you turned it, it was like, for sure.
Oh. The stickers were like puffy.
They were like
puffy stars.
Yeah.
I mean, I could never get enough Choose Your Own Adventure books. I love this.
I guess it would be inappropriate for a brewery to do something like that. Like the Book It program, you could get like a free pretzel or something. Or you guys have a kids menu, right?
We do. We have crayons and a kids menu. Yeah, my brother and I both have small kids. So we're like pretty, I guess like we're pretty mindful of like what we produce and like how it is for kids. I think like it's just my personal opinion, and like again, like a lot of people do a lot of stuff, and like merchandising is great. It's good income, but we're pretty mindful of like not putting stuff out there that's like beer centric for kids. We don't want kids like going to their elementary school with like a BierHall like kids. You know what I mean? Like it just again, like everyone's different. That's it. But my brother and I are the mindset, so we don't do like kids merch and stuff like that for that reason. Like, but like it's just like it would be fun to do something like that, and we've always wanted to like sponsor and like promote like education and kid stuff. But it's like as a alcohol producing business, it's kind of tough. Mm-hmm. So, but Trogue sponsor. I go to a kids play, like playhouse thing with my kids up at Mount Gretna, and Trogue sponsors the kids playhouse. So who knows? Maybe one day we can figure out something.
Yeah.
I also feel like a Book It program for adults would be fine too.
Yeah, encouraging your kids to read and get a free beer.
Adults should read more. I agree with you, Wayne.
Yeah.
Just like in general, just like be more mindful of like reading stuff around you, like signs on the road.
Yeah. Or the news. Pay attention to the news.
Prove to me you read more than the headline.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's a tangent where you don't need to go on.
Exactly.
No, it is.
Exactly.
It is interesting though, as a brewery, that you do kind of have to be mindful that like, obviously you want to support the community, you want to do community things, but like there are certain connotations or situations where like as an alcohol producer, you have to stop and say, is this appropriate? Even if your intentions are good, and it's an interesting thing to navigate.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's something that like it doesn't come up a lot, but like when it does come up, it's like a tricky discussion to be like, hey man, we like you said, like we want to promote, good positive things in the community, but like maybe coming from us, we aren't the best voice.
Yeah.
So like again, like it's something we look at each case individually and we make sure that we're making a good decision for not only us but for the entity we would be trying to like work with, because sometimes it's just not a good fit.
Yeah.
And we understand that because like what we do work with alcohol, and it's a tricky slippery slope when we're involved, and there's a lot of red tape, not only like with what we can say, but like hey, like when you get into start working with an alcohol producer, like there's a lot of red tape, like government wise too. So it makes it tricky for some people, and like sometimes like they don't want that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So
Speaking of tricky, I wanted to ask you guys what it was like during the US Open with the golf course being so close to the brewery.
Oh.
Was that a clusterfuck, or did it bring you a
well,
lot of new business?
to be honest with you, not particularly. The women's US Open was maybe 500 yards from us down the street, but they closed the road off on both sides of us.
Oh.
And everyone who was parking for the event 500 yards from us parked at the like movie theater like 3 miles away. So like everyone got bussed right past us and then right past us again. So we were just like honestly like we were too close. So we and like a lot of our like regular customers were like, yeah, man, we just couldn't get to you. We had to like, so we eventually like we had to post something with like a map. Like here's how you cut through the neighborhoods to like sneak back through this like residential area to like get to us. But in the evenings they did pop the road back open, and we did see some like some pop in the evenings. But like I think we were just it just unfortunate circumstances with the way they set things up. I guess 9 years ago the golf course had the same event, but they hosted parking differently. The parking was right here, and they didn't close the street off. So I guess the previous businesses in the area were absolutely like gangbusters, like just laden with business and like customers, and they were overrun, and they were like, hey, be ready. So so we were ready, but like it was just like it was a little bit of a false alarm. But it was it was a good exercise for us to make sure that we have some some things in place. And at the end of the day, the people who came through who were in town for the tournament had great things to say, and I made a couple new friends with some out of town people, and some of the actually a lot of the crew from like NBC Sports and like all those like they popped in here after their shift, and so those were a lot of interesting people to talk to, just to chat about their job and like how they just travel around and go to these golf tournaments, and like they just like jump from like hotel to hotel and like live in it like a place for like a week at a time. So it's like it's pretty wild. But it was again like it was a fun week. Actually, I took my brother, it was his birthday. I took my brother up to the tournament for a day, and we got to go up there, and it was fun. It was interesting to see, but business wasn't great, but the tournament was fun.
Well, I kind of steered clear of Lancaster that week because I figured either everything was going to be slammed or it was going to be impossible to get anywhere. So I just
it was
steered clear.
Yeah. And so I think like a lot of people like again felt the same way. It was good. It was a very big event for Lancaster. Like I think it wasn't great for BierHall as a business, but I think it was great for Lancaster as a whole. And I think, hey, again, we're in this for the long haul. It's short-sighted for us to say that was a terrible week for us. They should never do that again. A lot of people that came here, had a great time in Lancaster, had a positive experience, and they might come back, and on their trip back, they might hit us. So I think like in the long run that was good for Lancaster, and that Lancaster had a good showing, good forward face when the limelight was on them, and everyone had a good time here, and the tournament went off well, and it's good for Lancaster as a small town to like have that positive positive vibe going. And I think again, like rising tide raises all ships. If Lancaster, has more tourism, has more people coming through, just by the numbers, we will too.
Speaking of games, golf
Speaking
is a
of,
game, right? Is golf a game?
I mean,
Golf's a
golf
game.
is a game. It's a
Technically,
sport.
it's no.
All games are
Let's not
sports,
go
but not
crazy.
all. No, wait. All sports are games, but not all games are sports.
Okay.
I think.
I don't know. Tic-tac-toe is a sport, right?
Skee
No,
ball's
that's
a
just a game.
sport.
Skee ball's a sport. I don't know where the line of the level of physical activity is that takes it from being a game to being a sport, but it's somewhere between tic-tac-toe and skee ball.
Is it like physical activity or is it like organization? I feel like anything can be a sport if it's like organized enough. Like if you get enough people and like you like have like an organization and like is drone racing a sport? I don't know. There's
Wait,
enough
is
people
drone
involved.
racing a thing?
Oh yeah, big time. It's like on ESPN sometimes.
I mean, if it's on ESPN, then it must be a sport, right?
I have very weird sleep habits, and like at 3, 4 in the morning, like drone racing's like on ESPN.
So is poker a sport? Because
I don't
poker's
know,
on ESPN.
maybe. Also very organized.
Yes.
Very
I don't know.
organized.
And it will make you sweat.
Yep.
Everybody dance now.
Yes. Okay. Well, before we do the game, I'm going to take a real quick bathroom break, if you don't mind. I will be right back.
I actually have your Instagram pulled up and I'm looking at the map with all the arrows.
Yeah, see? My brother did that. It's great. This was before he handed social media to me. I'm now the social media guy. I'll kick it back to him in a couple weeks. We just kind of punted back and forth.
Well, I thought maybe you gave him a break because he was in the kitchen.
Oh, no, he's kitchen. I mean, I didn't give him any grief in the kitchen. I'd like all hail Jimmy in the kitchen, bro. Like he did great in the kitchen. I was super proud of him. The food came out great. We had like no complaints about the food while he was back there for a couple of days. And I ate the food and I thought it was good. So, I mean, I think part of the like our saving grace there is like, again, back to Jeremy, who's a great guy. He set us up really well to be able to produce this kind of stuff in a repeatable fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So Jimmy was able to kind of step right in and kind of like just execute based on what Jeremy had given us in terms of like a game plan. So with Jeremy's preparation for us and Jimmy's kind of like baseline skill in the kitchen, there was really no like drop off of quality. So it was really nice again, like, and that's why you involve someone like Jeremy in your business, because it makes it that much easier to have a good base to start with and someone who's that knowledgeable and experienced to give you that kind of leg up is really something that we were fortunate to have.
It was funny you mentioned the cookbook because one of my friends that's in my homebrew club the other day on Instagram, he posted that he was making homemade soft pretzels and he was using Jeremy's recipe from the New German Cooking Cookbook, which I bought the cookbook, well, to support my friend, but also for the herbed butter recipe.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a vegetarian, so my experience at Brauhaus Schmitz is always a little bit different than everyone else. Usually it's for the beer. But when Jeremy was there and they used to do the charcuterie boards, the butter that they would serve with the bread that came with the boards,
oh yeah,
the best butter on the freaking planet, like unreal. But I don't know if you know, but the 3 restaurants here in Reading that Jeremy was the head chef recently closed. Because of legal issues with the owner. So I'm not really sure I know Jeremy does a lot of consulting too, but I'm not sure what his next move is right now.
I did not know that. I know he does consulting. I mean, he did with us, and I know he's got some food product lines. Like he makes like a line of sausage, which we were purchasing, and that kind of stuff. So I know he's got other avenues of like, but I was not aware that the places, because I know they were all, like you said, like it was common ownership. But
yeah, it was kind of, and it was very sudden. It was like we're closed, and that was it. And like we went to Nitro Bar all the time, and we would do the drag shows at Say Cheese, and it was.
And the noodle place wasn't open that long, right?
No, the West Reading Motor Club. I hadn't even eaten there yet.
Yeah.
So, and I know Jeremy was really, really excited about the menu there. Every time we talk to him about the food, he's just so passionate about it. But yeah, and Broken Chair is closing, and Willow Creek Brewing is closing. So Penn Avenue's taken a bit of a hit this summer, and hopefully, I know that the Say Cheese location was bought by a family member of the. Is it Nona Albi's? One of the local Italian, one of the local Italian business owners around here. I think it might be Nona Albi's. They bought the Say Cheese property, but they're not keeping it Say Cheese. They're turning it into a different restaurant. But at least something will go in there. But I don't know. It won't
be vacant, at least.
Yeah, but we used to go to they would have live music at Nitro Bar all the time. We've done a few shows there, so it's a bummer to lose that venue. Yeah, you could get Reading Premium for like $2 during a show. It was amazing. A half liter of it too.
Ooh.
I got a buddy who lives in Reading, but I only go to his house. Like he's got I go and drink beers at his house. So
you need to go to Barley Mow. That's where we all go to drink.
Barley Mow's great. I haven't been in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, and if you're gonna distribute your beers up here, please bring them to Barley Mow. Taps 6 and 7 are always lagers, and that's what we always order.
Nice. I got a buddy who lives in Wyomissing. So he's maybe a little south, but yeah.
The Wawa at the end of the Penn Avenue strip, that's the start of Wyomissing. Okay, nice. Because West Reading is actually part of Wyomissing Area School District.
Ah, okay, all right. I'm not I grew up here in Lancaster, like right in the neighborhood behind BierHall, so I'm less familiar with Reading, but I do get up there once in a while. In HVAC, he did all our HVAC here at the brewery. He has a little HVAC company, and
nice.
In the back of the HVAC company, there's a golf simulator. So we just go. So that's where when I say his house, I mean but we end up there. We just drink beers there.
There's also golf simulators in the basement of the Sly Fox in Wyomissing. So if you want to still do golf and beer and get out of his house, it's
a popular thing, man. Well, it's actually the golf simulator is actually a business too. It's his business. It's on the side of it's called Swing Away Golf, and you can rent the simulator and just play yourself or bring buddies. There's a couch and so
that's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, it's honestly a lot of fun. He set it up. It's actually two of my buddies. They did it together, and you just there's no actual employee. You log in online and reserve your time, and then when you log in online, they give you a door code, and you just go click in the door code, and then you just they can remotely start the computer up in your game, and they set you up to just click two buttons, and you just go and so no one bothers you. But if something goes wrong, you just call them, and they can remotely reset the computer or whatever. But it's so you just go with your buddies and hang out, and there's no one there to bother you or judge you for having an extra beer.
What a cool business idea!
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's working really well for them. They do good business, and it's a fun place to be. But yeah, so when I go to Reading, I end up there. Free plug, Swing Away Golf in Wyomissing.
Very cool.
I am going to write that down.
And we're back to sports and golf.
Full circle. Full circle. How about that?
Yeah. I'm big. I love to play golf. I'm not very good, but I do enjoy getting outside.
Cheers! Speaking of, cheers, Internet. Welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the podcast trivia segment that's usually found under a rock. Today, we return to a game that I originally created in desperation for something new and with little hope of its entertainment quality, only to be surprised that it turned out to actually be kind of fun. And I'm calling it Untapped Word Count, or how many beer results do you get if you search these words on Untapped?
Oh, shit.
Which I think explains the game pretty well. I will also add as a sort of a more or less than thing, and I hope I haven't jinxed everything with that introduction. And obviously, the number of search results that come up on Untapped fluctuate pretty wildly, but because I'm very good at procrastinating, all of the results in today's games are less than 24 hours old.
Oh, Jesus.
Fresh.
Yes, they are fresh results. I'm just saying, when you listen to this episode, if you Google, if you search these words on Untapped, you will probably get different numbers than what I'm going to say today. That's my disclaimer. But yeah, long story short, I'm going to tell you a word, and then give you a choice of whether it's more or less than a certain number of search results, and you're each going to tell me whether you think it's more or less. Things will become more apparent as we play. So we will begin with Dan, as we most often do. Our first word searched on Untapped. How many results does this word return? The word is cloudy.
Cloudy.
Is it cloudy?
How many times did Levante use it alone?
Is it more or less than 5,000 results? Dan, what do you think?
Oh, God. So it's all of Untapped, but here's the question. Does this include homebrew? Because you can put your own homebrews on there, right? So this is inclusive of professional and homebrews.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to the technical disclaimer of how this game works. When you go to Untapped and you type in a word and you search for results under beer, you will get professional beers, you will get homebrews, and you will get beers that have that word in the description.
That's right. I forgot about the description part.
Ooh, the description.
With description added,
All right, with description, yeah.
I will say over 5,000.
It's over 5,000, says Dan. Steph?
I will also say over.
Over 5,000. And finally, Chris.
Yeah, I feel like it's over 5,000, but I'm like tempted to be devil's advocate, but I'm just going to go over because like with description, like I feel like it's like gotta be over.
Over 5,000. I will say I don't actually know how Untapped search engine works, but I will say that you do get results where the word is not in the name of the beer. So I presume in the description. So everybody's saying more than 5,000 and everyone is wrong.
What?
Oh, wow.
I know. Surprisingly,
Okay.
the number of results when I searched it was 2,082.
That's
Wow.
very
Okay.
surprising. Wow.
I know.
How do you see the number of results? Do you have to do it on the website? 'Cause
Yeah, I
the
don't
app
think it shows
does
you in the
not.
app. I don't think it shows you in the app. It's on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, 2,082.
Wow.
So
Wow. All right.
it's probably still less than 5,000.
now my counter is
Yeah.
reset for this game. All right.
I know. Weird.
Okay, I got 1,853.
Oh, things
Even
were
less.
deleted.
See?
Isn't that weird?
Beers come and go.
Huh.
So for each of these, I have an honorable mention. And of course, there is Cloudy and Cumbersome in all its many varieties from our friends at Levante, which is the first beer I think of when I say the word cloudy. But also worth a mention, Cloudy Nature from Frothy Beard, which I thought was a pretty good name. It's a hazy IPA with Eldorado and Meridian hops. And also Cloudy 5000 from Melvin Brewing Company, which I thought
I like that.
was a pretty good.
I love a good beer name, man.
Yeah. I was looking at some of the beer names at BierHall, and some of them are pretty good. I appreciate a good beer name. I enjoyed Cloudy 5000. So
Okay,
Honorable
and now
mentions.
I just logged in and I searched again and it says 2025.
That's
it's weird.
so weird.
I will say, in the course of doing this game, and this is only the second time I've done it, I can tell you unequivocally that Untapped search technology is not nearly as advanced as Google's. Whatever
Get
that
those guys working on their algorithm over there.
I know, right? All right, so we're moving on to our next word, and that means we're going to move on to Steph to guess first on this one. How many results does this word return? Our second word is cloud.
Oh, come on.
Is it more or less than 10,000 results? Now, keep in mind,
Cloudy would be included in Cloud.
yes, but cloud,
But
not
Cloudy
necessarily
was only
10,000.
2,000. And I feel like Cloudy would be on more than Cloud. I'll say less.
Less than 10,000, says Steph. Chris, what do you think?
Man, the last one's got me all kinds of screwy, and I'm like, I feel like I gotta go the under on this one, but I feel like you're baiting me on the under on this one too. I'm going over.
Going over. Chris is going over 10,000. Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to say under 10,000, but not by much. I'm going to say like 9,300.
Okay, so Dan and Steph saying under, Dan saying just under, Chris saying over. Now, here's the ironic twist, if I can pronounce the word. Chris is correct. It is over 10,000. The ironic twist is just barely over 10,000.
That was my other move. I was going to say that.
I searched twice. At one time, it was 10,013. The other time, it was 10,017.
Wow.
So just barely over 10,000 for cloud on its own.
That's crazy.
My honorable mention for this is Cloud Sourced, which is from True Roads Brewing Company. It's a newcomer to their year-round lineup, has an intense citrus juiciness balanced with a soft malt core that is sure to put you on cloud 9. All right, that's the end of all the... That's the end. Yeah, that is timely. That is very timely. Moving on to our next word to search on Untapped, and we have come to Chris to guess first on this one. Our next word is darkness. Does darkness have more or less than 10,000 results?
I'm going less.
Chris is going unequivocally less on darkness. Dan, what do you think?
I'm going to say less also.
Dan also saying less. Finally, Steph.
Is your next one going to be dark?
See, that was my thought.
That was also my thought. I see where
I
this
think
game
it's
is going.
I think
Cloudy,
it's less.
cloud.
You think it's going to be
I think
less?
it's
Everybody's saying less. Everyone is correct.
Oh, God. Thank God.
Everyone is correct. Darkness returns less than 2,000 results. How much less? 3,848. Not very many at all. But my favorite of them is this. The Gothic Prince of Darkness Sour Black Currant Porter from the Flying Dutchman Nomad Brewing Company.
Nice.
The description reads...
I love it.
I know, it's pretty cool. I like it. The description reads, Sour Porter. Disclaimer. This sinister beer should only be consumed on sullen mood. Wearing black head to toe and listening to Joy Division. Love will tear us apart.
Very specific.
He warned, though, the interplay of black currants and cocoa nibs with a bit of vanilla and oak chips that our happy brewer used may unexpectedly lift you from that void of existential pain you so enjoy, and you might suddenly feel good. And that is not good. The darkness. I will say my favorite Joy Division pun I've ever seen in my life is the Love Will Terrace Apartments. As in terrace. Love Will Terrace Apartments. Yes, so that was darkness. Chris guessed first on that one. We're spinning rack around today, and this is not the penultimate question.
Ooh, okay.
Our next word, would you believe, is dark.
God damn it.
Does dark
More or less than 100,000.
more or less than 20,000?
Ooh. All right, so darkness was what, 3,000 something? So dark.
Yeah, it was not a lot. Yeah.
Shit. You know what? You said more or less than 10,000?
20,000.
20,000. Less than. I'm going to say less than 20,000.
Dan saying less than 20,000 for dark. Steph, what do you think?
I'm going to say more because it's even in the name of many beer styles. So not only is it going to pick up the name and perhaps the description, but I would think any beer that is that style would also pop up. So I'm going to say more.
Okay, that's a fair point, but here's an open question that I do not know the answer to. If a beer is called Bob's Beer and the style is Czech Dark Lager, and the description does not say dark, I don't know if that would get picked up with dark from just the beer style.
Well, if it doesn't, then their algorithm is stupid.
Well,
I'm just
we
saying,
have already established.
I can't say that is true with 100% accuracy. I don't know.
Well, if I get it wrong, then it's because Untapped is stupid.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so Dan said less than 20,000. Steph said more than 20,000. Chris, what do you think?
I got to go with the under.
Going with the under, going with the less. Okay, interesting. You are wrong.
Nah.
Because it was more. Steph was correct. It's
It's
actually
a lot more.
47,495 is
smokes.
what I got. So, yeah,
Wow.
knocking
All
on
right.
50,000 right there.
Whoops.
Yeah, as soon as she said that, with the beer style name, I was like, oh yeah, way over. And then you were like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's got the. So, yeah.
I just feel like-
good pick, Steph. Smart move, brother.
I feel like if it is picking up the beer style, it would be even more than 50,000.
Well, and here, Founders
Yeah,
Brewing
because so many
Porter
beer
comes up.
just dark miles.
And
Yeah.
the style is porter, and the description is pours black with a tan head, sweet nose with chocolate and caramel malt presence, no absence of hops, cozy like velvet, a lover, not a fighter.
So
the word dark is not in this beer name, the beer description, or the beer style at all.
I wonder, does it get it from
they know
Got
that
it.
this is a dark beer, so it's in the search results.
Does it get it from
Got
comments though? Because if somebody commented this
Maybe.
is a dark beer, blah blah blah,
Man.
yeah.
Oh man,
Because that
my
opens
meter's
up a
way
whole
off
new
for
can
this
of
game
worms.
now.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
like most happy fun time games, it's really not about skill. It's just random chance. It's really just random chance. And like I like when I first came up with this game, I thought of all these weird caveats because you also get a different result if you put quotes around the word you're searching for.
Oh man.
So I'm like,
Like
what?
Plinko for Beer Buster.
Yeah, and so I was like
Random.
trying to be like, well, what can I do? What can I do? And I was like, fuck it. Just whatever number comes up when you
Whatever.
type the word in, that's the answer. I don't know if it's the name of the beer, the style of the beer. Who cares? That's the game. What number does it say? So that's as accurate as I could be. So we have finally come to our penultimate question of the game. Or the last question. Maybe the last one was penultimate because I labeled the last one as bonus, but I mean, whatever. Anyway, we have a little bit a different question this time around, and we are, I believe, at Steph to guess first on this one. So the question here is, which of these words gets more results? Summer or winter?
Summer.
Steph saying summer. Chris, what do you think?
Oh man, this is a difficult one. I also have to say summer. I feel like summer's probably going to be a bigger one.
All right, 2 summers so far. Dan, what do you think?
I'm gonna say winter.
Oh, Dan bucking the trend. Going with winter. Not a good strategy
God
because
damn
the answer is summer. And my honorable mention here is where the hell is summer from Southern Tier Brewing Company. I mean, that's just a pretty classic, solid pun. Where the hell is
Can
summer?
you guess what beer is first in the search results?
Ooh, for summer.
It does not have summer in the name.
PBR.
Oberon. Is it Oberon?
It should be. That's number 3.
PBR. I'm going PBR for no reason.
Sip of Sunshine? I don't
Chris,
know.
do you have a guess?
I'm going to say Allagash White.
That's another good one. No, it's Coors Light.
God damn it.
I mean, Coors Light
Yeah.
means summer, I guess.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, after that, you have Summer Ale, Oberon, Summer Shandy, Brooklyn Summer, Summer Love. But nope, Coors Light is the first one.
Wow.
That's pretty funny.
When you said it was like summer wasn't in the name, I'm thinking like summery beers that people comment summer on, or like, you know,
Yeah.
so
See, that's why the search engine is.
it makes for a fun game though, because like you can't really predict the answer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will say what I'm learning now is that the untapped search algorithm is more about like giving the consumer what they're looking for than about like actually accurately reflecting the data in their
Well,
database.
and isn't that what a search engine should do?
Yes, but I mean, like from my perspective, when I'm doing this game, I'm thinking, okay, this is a database of millions of beers. I'm just querying the database, and there's only one answer to my question. That's not true. Because when I search for dark, Untapped is like, well, this beer is dark. You might like it, even though it's not called dark.
That's true. They're just trying
I
to give you what you want.
Yeah. My honorable mention for dark, I don't know if I mentioned it, was just that like half of the beers are just called dark. Okay, so we have come to our final question of the game, and as is tradition in Happy Fun Time, we add up the scores at this point and give whoever is trailing a chance to save face, if not tie or win. The only option today is face because Dan only has 1 point and Steph and Chris both have 3, so you can't even hope to tie. But we will let Dan guess last, so he at least gets to hear your answers before he goes. So we'll start with Steph on our final question in this game. So, do summer and winter each, not combined, have more or less than 20,000 results? Steph, what do you think?
Each?
They
More.
each... Okay. Steph is saying more. They each have an amount that is either more or less than 20,000. Chris, what do you think?
I'm saying more.
All right.
But that
Chris
wouldn't make the
saying-
game fun. I'm going to say less because someone's got to win.
All right. I appreciate that. Chris is jumping on the grenade there. Finally, Dan.
Each of them less than 20,000. Or more. I will say less, but I'm going to reach for a bonus point. I'm going to reach for 2 bonus points.
Okay.
I'm going to say summer has 17,000. Wait, hold on. Summer had more than winter, right?
Yes.
Summer had more results than winter.
You are allowed to know that. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
So, I'm going to say...
I didn't know I was allowed to tell you that or not.
I'm going to say summer...
Trickling information.
I'm going to say summer is somewhere in the ballpark of 17,000 and winter is in the ballpark of 13,000.
Okay, well, you are very wrong on everything you said.
I would expect no less.
It is, in fact, more, which means that Steph
is the winner. Nice job, Steph.
Correct. The actual counts are as follows. Summer was 34,589. Winter, which includes winter warmer. So I was like, what would it be? 24,618 for winter. So about 10,000 less than summer. Actually.
Not as many people drink winter ales that drink summer ales.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it makes sense. This summer beer would be.
A summer ale is a more drinkable style.
Yeah. So that means Steph is our big winner today with 4 points. Chris just behind with 3. Dan, unfortunately, an unusual poor showing for Dan in Happy Fun Time. Only 1 point this time around. But when I first made this game, I was just like desperate for a new idea. I was like, this is shit. This is going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. And we played it with Ethan and it was a lot of fun. So I was like, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
So
I like this one. I'm really bad at it, but I like it.
Yeah. We'll probably play this again in the future. I think this
better than anagrams.
Yeah, anything's better than anagrams. But this is probably going to be in the rotation, just not as frequently as libation or fabrication, because that is the best one. Anyway, thank you all.
I like Bander beer.
Bander beer's good.
Yeah. It's difficult to find beers that sound like bands and bands that sound like beers, and both that aren't obviously one or the other. That's hard. But that's the end of Happy Fun Time. And this is, of course, the part of the podcast where we shout out to our most generous patrons on Patreon. We would like to thank the following individuals for keeping the lights on. Jen McDonald.
I like German Sparker Party, Sparker Party, Sparker Party.
That's a good one. Eric Dixon.
Verdammter Einer.
Dana.
You say you want a revolution, you know.
James Lambert.
Jelly beans?
Chris Mahoney.
I'm never amused.
Sean Sullivan.
Dan, you loser.
Brian Mills.
It's literally full of couches.
I like that one. Jill Chivers.
Well, then it's a fart.
The one and only, that is No Baloney, Joe Manziel. Wow, okay. Topher Simmons.
I love a good corned beef hash.
Oh, I do. And finally, Ben Mangle.
Delicious.
A corned beef hash is delicious. If you want to find out how you get your name on this list and all the other behind-the-scenes perks that come along with being a patron, plus the warm and fuzzy feelings, go to patreon.com/beerbusters.
How did you not do the Wiener Schnitzel one?
I forgot about it.
That is a classic. That's
classic. Fair.
Wiener Schnitzel?
There it is.
Well, Chris, if people want to find BierHall on the internet, how can they do that?
Our website is BierHallBrewing.com. We have an Instagram page, BierHall Brewing, and we have a Facebook page, BierHall Brewing. So check us out and follow and subscribe on our social media. I'm the social media manager these days, so you'll get some behind-the-scenes content and the brewery, and you'll get some really lame dad jokes. So come on down.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And come out on Mondays at 6 to have a good time with trivia.
Yeah, come out on Mondays at 6. I think our next theme trivia is cartoon theme trivia. So like last time it was Marvel trivia. So we try and like do like a theme trivia like once a month. So cartoon theme trivia in the next couple weeks.
Awesome.
Any other events coming up? You guys have what, Coffee and Cars coming up at the end of the month?
July 27th is Coffee and Cars, which is a joint thing with Spangler's Auto, and they're going to be starting at 9 a.m., I believe. And there's just going to be a bunch of really cool cars in the lot. Different people are bringing different kinds of, old and unique European cars, from what I understand. A gentleman was in tonight who's him and his wife are going to drive 2 different, unique BMWs in for this show. I guess it's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. I like I'm not a huge car guy, but I do like cars. I like. I don't know enough about them, but it's really exciting, and I'm stoked to see all the guys come out. And so I think we're getting ready. We're gonna do an Oktoberfest here coming up at the end of September. So keep your eye out for that. We're putting together all the details, and that'll come out probably in the next week or so for details.
Yay!
So, yeah. So we're getting that together, and I think obviously we'll do an anniversary party in November too. So the fall will be pretty big here at BierHall.
Very cool.
Sounds like it. That's awesome. I mean, an Oktoberfest makes sense, and an anniversary bash makes sense.
And then you'll be releasing that Saison, right, in the fall.
Yeah, I'm hoping to sneak it in there for sure. I'll call you up, Wayne. Don't worry.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting, and I'm happy that we were able to have you on. I'm dying to get out there and try the beer and the food, especially now that I know it's Jeremy's food. It's just like it's the perfect combo, and I got to go to Lancaster. I have to go to Lancaster. I know I say it every time we have a Lancaster brewery on, but the need to get out there just keeps growing. And this is just another sign. It's another sign.
Well, as we discovered recently, there's trains, and while you ride them, you can look at things.
And drink.
Yes.
And drink.
Yes. Exactly.
You are allowed to drink on the train. I used to take the train every day from Philly to Lancaster, and on my way home, I would have a little drink, and the conductor would always let me know. He's like, man, I'm surprised more people don't do that. So
good to know.
But yeah. But thanks again for having me on, guys. I had a lot of fun tonight, and I really appreciate you taking the time and inviting me on. I know it took a little while for me to get here, but it was a ton of fun. And again, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. We're glad we could do it. We're glad we could find the time. And hopefully, next one will be in person at the brewery. Just gonna say.
Yeah, you guys are always welcome. Like, please, anytime you want to come out here and do something, or just come out and chat or hang out, please keep me in touch. I'd love to have you guys.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. I think unfortunately this brings us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters, and of course, Chris, thank you again for joining us, man. It was incredible and such a fun time.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, this was fun. I almost won, but Steph was there.
You did better than me.
We're very close.
And of course, you out there
Wait,
listening.
does that mean do I get a BierHall gift card?
Oh,
you get a free beer next time.
There you go. There you go. You out there
gotta
listening,
get something.
Exactly. You out there listening, thank you for listening. If you can, leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice, but do that for all the shows you listen to. Algorithms matter, as we've discussed. I'm Dan Baker, joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
And the demented and fermented.
I'm going to make an Algorithms Matter teacher, but I feel like that's just problematic. Wayne Baker, that's my name.
There we go. Messed up the timing again. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
If you like it, you can do 2 or 3 squirts.